Okay, this bow is going to be our 5-layered craft bow. So you have your bow wire, get that ready. I have a little centerpiece I'm going to use. And then I have 5 different ribbons. This is from top of the bow to the bottom. The first 2 layers I do 1.5 inches. These 3 are 2.5 inch width ribbon. So for your 1.5 inch ribbons here, this top layer is going to be 3/4 of a yard. The second layer is going to be 7/8 of a yard. And then these ribbons are all just 1 yard pieces. So 3/4, 7/8, 1, 1, 1. So we are going to start with the top layer. So I'm going to kind of scoot those out of the way. All right. So like I said, this should be 3/4 of a yard. And you always want to use good wired ribbon. So we are going to line up the ends so that we can find our center. And I kind of usually make a little fold in it so it's easy to see. And then I'm going to lay it on the table so the right side, the pretty side, is down. And the back side of the ribbon is facing up. So here's my crease. That's where the center of my bow is going to be. So we are going to take this top half above the line. We're going to bring it down. And the tail is going to go out this direction. Like here's this rest of the ribbon. Make sure the tail is shooting out this way. So you have a loop here and your tail here. And this is the center line right here. Now we're going to bring the bottom half. It's going to go up and it's going to go next to the ribbon. They are not crisscrossing. They are not on top of each other. They are just next to each other. Right on top of where that center point crease is. Now you can adjust this sliding. Obviously, if you want small loops, we want the loops to be about the same length as the tails. So you can kind of adjust it a little bit. Let me move this out of the way. So the tail and the loop are going out the same distance. Now this is the center of the bow, so I'm going to pick up the entire thing. There's the back side of it, holding it all together, and I'm just going to gather it along where the center is. You can do this however you want. I always think it's easier since, I'm holding it with this hand, I'm going to gather this side, and then I'm going to switch and gather this side. This ribbon is very papery, it kind of crinkles. So yeah, you just want to get the center nice and tight, pinch it tight. So you should have a loop here and a tail here, and then on this side it should be a loop here and a tail here. And you want to eyeball it so that they're all about the same, like symmetrical. Out. Okay, let's grab the wire. I'm holding this. I have my wire that I folded in half so that there's a loop. I slide the loop under there so I'm holding it with the bow. And I take this hand and I find the ends of the wire. I go around the bow and up through that loop. I pull it tight. And I always pull coming out the back of the bow. This is the right side, the top of the bow. You'll just have a piece of wire. And the back side is where the knot is going to be. So we're just going to tie a little single knot. Okay, so I'm going to leave this sitting right there face down. This is the nice, pretty side of the bow is going to be down towards the table. And the bottom of this layer is going to be facing up. This is where the knot is. I want that facing up because each additional layer we make, we're going to add right onto that and just tie it. So let's grab our next layer. We're going to line up the 2 ends of the ribbon, find the center point, and then I'm going to open it up. So the pretty side is facing the table. This that is showing is the wrong side. It's hard to tell when it's so light. But my right side has like this rosette on it. So that's facing down. And this is just the back of the ribbon facing up. This is the center point. That's where I made the little crease. Now, in the previous layer, we brought this down and we had the tail coming out this side. We don't want to do that. We want to do the opposite. So we're going to bring it down, but it's going to go out that side. Every layer we do, we're going to flip-flop back and forth and back and forth because you want your loops and your tails alternating for each layer. So for this one, we have our loop here and our tail here. Now this bottom half, I'm going to bring up, and there's going to be a loop here and the tail here. And these are just sitting side by side next to each other. They are not overlapping. Now, before you pinch it and tie it on, a quick way you could double check if you did it correctly is if you're looking at this right side up and you have a tail here, loop here, tail here, it should look the same as the upside down version next to you. See how the tail is here and the loop is here? Tail is here, loop is here. If it looks the same, then you know when you go to flip it upside down and tie it on, then it's alternated. So I kind of, before I tie it on, I kind of double check. Tail, loop, I know. So I'm going to gather the center, get it nice and tight, and I'm going to flip it upside down and set it directly on that previous layer. I'm going to use the same ribbon and tie a little single knot. Okay, now I'm going to leave that there again, face down on the table. This was the previous layer. We're going to grab this next ribbon. We are going to line up your edges and find your center of the ribbon. And then we're going to lay it open on the table. Here's the crease. Again, it is right side is facing down on the table. The back side of the ribbon should be facing you. Okay, so we are going to, I always hold here where my center is. Bring the top half down, and now it's going out, the tail is going to be going out this side. Bring the bottom half up, lay them side by side, and that tail's going that direction. I'm going to double check and make sure that it looks the same as my upside down version. That last layer we did has the loop here and a tail here. So I'm going to make sure I have a loop here and a tail here. Then I'm going to gather it. Oh, this ribbon's amazing. Let's see. That's what it should look like. We're going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to add it right onto that last layer. Do a single knot with the wire. Now this bow, we do have kits available on our website if you want a kit where we have all the ribbons pre-cut for you. And they come with written instructions. So I'm going to line up my two ends. Find the center point. I'm going to put it face down on the table. Now, this top half I'm going to bring down, and it's going to go out that direction of the bow. And this bottom half I'm going to fold up, and it's going to go out that direction. I'm going to double check tail loop. Okay, tail loop, so I know. Gather it. The more you do this, the more you'll just know flip-flopping it around. You'll get way faster at it. You won't even have to think. Flip it upside down. Tie it on. All right, last layer. I'm going to find the ends, line them up, find the center of the ribbon. I'm going to lay it face down on the table. I'm going to bring the top half down, and it's going to go out that direction. And this bottom half is going to go up and go out that direction. Make sure tails and loops are about the same size. Double check loop and a tail, loop, tail. Pinch it. Fix it a little bit. And I'm going to flip it upside down and add it right on top of that previous layer. Now this was my last layer I'm adding to this bow. So I'm going to double knot it. Okay, now it was like this. I turned it like this. So you see where the opening is. that's where we're going to add our center ribbon. So I'm going to flip it right side up and lay that on. And I'm going to hold onto it in the back and use this hand to pinch all these layers as tight together as possible. Makes your bow poofy. So just sit there and smash all the layers together, and then I go layer by layer, and I kind of pull them up. That way the centerpiece isn't bending some ribbon towards the back of the bow. Okay. Once you have that center ribbon nice and snug, I switch hands and I hold it with that hand so that I can cut any excess ribbon off that center ribbon, make it shorter. So you're going to glue it down, covering your knot from your wire. Put a little glue here. Glue there. Let that dry really good. Alright, and then I'm going to kind of twist this up out of the way. I always leave the wire on so I can tie it onto whatever I want after. Alright, so next what we're going to do is, I mean, you could leave the bow kind of looking like this. I like the bows that are rounded. So I usually pull these tails to fill in these gaps. So tail here, and then I kind of fluff up the loop. Just round it out with your fingers so it doesn't have a flat like crease on it. Okay, here's this tail. I'm going to pull into that gap. And there's this tail. And then I'm going to round out the loop. I'm going to do the same thing here. Just grab a tail, grab a loop, round the loop out. Grab this tail, round this loop. Grab this tail, round out that loop. Let's see, on this side we'll grab this tail, round out that loop. You'll get faster the more you do it. So now, once everything's nice and rounded out, see, it makes a whole difference. It's a full round bow now. So now we are going to cut the tails. Most important thing to remember is before you cut, make sure you're not about to cut through a loop. Not fun after you take that much time making a bow and then you cut through a loop. So we're going to cut the tails at an angle to create that little dovetail. And then I usually cut these tails so they're about the same length as whatever their loop is. You can tell. All the tails, and then we are going to fray check. That way, all the edges that I'm cutting continue to look nice year after year. All right. So let me make sure my fray check. I always keep a needle in it so I can unclog it, because sometimes if I leave the cap off it starts to clog. The solid glitter ribbon we do not need to fray check. So if you're using a solid glitter, a lot of times it doesn't fray. So you'll just want to go through all of the fabric. Any fabric, linen, burlap type of ribbon. Definitely want to fray check. Luckily, I used a lot of glitter ribbons. Makes it easy. And like I said, we have kits for this style of bow available on our website. Hopefully soon I'll get a couple other types of bow kits made. But this was our most popular design. How cute is that? So these look amazing on top of gifts. Like if you, like even this one, if you're going to a wedding, oh my goodness, it would be amazing on top of your gift. And then we also add them to like our wreaths. You can use them as a Christmas tree topper. They are so fun. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you love your bow. And we'll see you next time.